Rich, Kenny. Let me see what we got. So I expected a lot more people to show up to this one because we're going over some of the VA stuff that everybody's been asking about. Because everybody wants to get VAs.
Did everyone know we were going over that though?
Yeah.
Okay.
We announced it in our previous sessions. We'll probably get rolling. But what I want to discuss today is how to actually systemize some of your knowledge gap stuff. And I'm going to go over our process in terms of how we do this and how we teach appointment setters. And then how you can really, start systemizing it. One thing I want to premise is I've had a few people reach out and, they're like, oh, I want to hire VAs. I want to have VAs to do it. And then I check their knowledge gaps and it's just not validated. And it's like, if you give that to a VA, they're not going to have any more success than you are. It doesn't matter how good the VA, how diligent they are. You need to test your knowledge gaps first. You need to have a clear build out, which is what I'll show you of how to do. Okay. Once you have that, then it's easy to get a VA to take over. All you have to do is figure out logistics. So I'll go over that after this in terms of like logistically how to actually do it. I can't say on record that I recommend you doing a VPN just because I don't want to risk you guys getting a profile banned because it's just the worst. Another way would just be actually have another profile that you have, similar to kind of like what Jess has. Otherwise, you can just get a burner profile. Otherwise, you get the VA to just literally say they work for your company, and then like that's pretty simple. That's probably the easiest way. But
that's the way I have a guy doing it now. He says he works for the other people's company when he's doing the outreach.
Yeah, so it's probably the easiest way to do it. Look, I know some people are like, oh, you just get a VPN. You can. But
pain in the balls.
Yeah, it's a world of pain when you have your Facebook profile banned. It ruins your ad accounts. It's just not worth it. So let me go into our knowledge gaps, and then I want to talk about and just show you guys a little bit behind the scenes about our SOP and things like that, and just answer questions and get you guys prepared for when we have VAs. Because I know a lot of people like want to get to VAs. People are like, I want to do VAs, and Paul is hitting me up and everyone wants to do VAs, but I want to make sure that you guys are prepared for the VAs because otherwise it's just going to be a headache and it's going to cost you more than it's worth. All right, so let me just pull this up here. Get my little SOP going.
Yeah, the only people that I mentioned to you that, a lot of people have asked me about VAs in the program too, and I've only passed a couple on to actually start getting them implemented because those are people that have validated their knowledge gaps, their offer. They've made a couple organic sales. They know which messaging is working, so then they can systemize and teach it to somebody. But for the people that haven't really got that down yet or done so, it's counterproductive.
It is a world of pain if you do that. So, but let me share my screen here, right? If you can give me screen share access.
Oh yeah, sorry. There you go.
Yeah, that's right, Katie. VA won't magically solve problems.
Spot on.
All right. So this is what we do, right? So this is how I train my appointment setters. And I'm gonna give you guys access to this. Just promise you won't edit it or you won't share it with anybody. This is our internal SOP, right? So basically, this thing's like gold if you can get it right. I mean, like once you get this going, it literally is like gold. So let's see the board for a second, and I'll show you some of our knowledge gaps. Obviously, like we built this out with consulting in mind. So this particular knowledge gap, like some of it's going to be a little bit similar but different. So similar questions, different knowledge gap of how you can explain it. So you got your knowledge gaps mapped out, right? So this is ours. I've got the surprise, the stuff that we teach you is what we use internally. I know that shocks a lot of people, but are you over 10K? No. Yes. Okay. So we've got our knowledge gaps built out here, right? And now each of the knowledge gaps, before I started building these out, I didn't go out and build out all of these and all the content for each of these. I tested it first. So the only way to test it is to have conversations with people. You just have conversations and you just ask these things. A few of you Kevin, he closed a $3,000 client just by applying this frame correctly. All right. So, a ton of people that are like, oh, I'm stuck. I can't get my knowledge gaps to work. Like you just have to have conversations. There's no way around it. You can't get a VA to do it. You just have to do it yourself. just for that first initial, even just that initial week, you know what I mean? Like if you just talk to like 50 people and you get this validated, then you can build this out, then you can systemize it. It's not a thing that it's going to take months and months and months of time. It will if you only do like one conversation a day, but you know, if you want to get this sped up, just fail forward and just talk to as many people as possible. All right,
Yeah, I
so
say 2 weeks is usually about good. You'll have enough, as long as you're having steady conversations, like Adam said, and you're not just doing one a day. But usually 2
100%.
weeks is good to get this validated and organized.
So I have each of my knowledge gaps here. All right. And each of my knowledge gaps, I have 4 things that I need. So first thing you need is, well, technically there's 5 things, but I said the 4 things you need to apply a frame is permission, the real problem, the knowledge gap, and the angst. Okay. Then you can hit them with the CTA and the link. So I'll template this for you guys, and I can hand this out to you. I'm glad tomorrow's seeing this because this is going to be huge tomorrow. So to call you out for what you guys are doing in terms of how you do this for clients. So problem, knowledge gap, angst, CTA, link. Okay. So here's how it works. So somebody responds to a post in a group or something like that, right? So, you know, my VA is talking to them and they're like, hey, you have 3K? And they're like, no. And we find out their offers like $1,000. And we kind of hover around this for a little bit. And like my VA or my appointment setter already knows the real problem is that they offer and they're not charging enough, right? So in the end, they'll talk to them and acknowledge them to the point, like, so there's a difference between a lot of people, even though they know the knowledge gap, they're like, oh, well, here's the problem. If you don't acknowledge people enough, that's why you have to like, so I don't just say, you know, what are you charging? And they're like, oh, it's about $1,000. I'm like, well, here's your problem, mate. Like you'll be like, what are you charging? And they're like, oh, it's about $1,000. And it's like, all right, $1,000. Usually you'd want to charge at least, I would say $3,000, $4,000. Because otherwise you don't have the economics to bring on a sales team. How are you currently scaling this offer? And they're like, oh, honestly, I can't. It's super hard. Like I can't bring a sales team. I can't do this. And it's like, all right, yeah, that makes total sense. And I'm like, all right, well, look, can I weigh on this for a second? That's how you do it. And then I hit him with this. So I go, okay, so first of all, here's the problem. The problem is, and let's say I'm talking to somebody with their offer, and you guys have similar knowledge gaps here, obviously, because a lot of you are in the consulting space, but it's like, it sounds like you need to identify more specific pain points that you can use to be able to double the price without doing more work, right? That's the problem. The knowledge gap. You know, to do this, we use something called, this is like a knowledge gap within a knowledge gap. It's like, to do this, we use something called a knowledge gap analysis. What we do is look at every scenario and problem of your ideal client and then find the gaps that your offer fills. And then we go to angst. And then we go, where most people go wrong, we don't say this is where you go wrong, this is where you went wrong. We say where most people go wrong, angst story, is they never know the actual problems that their prospect wants that are expensive. So they just try to solve everything, which is why their offer is so convoluted and they can't charge a lot of money.
Harder to fulfill that way too.
Yeah. And then you go, does that make sense? Now, this is where you figure out, does your frame work? Because someone's going to either say, yes, that makes total sense, or they'll be like, no, that doesn't. And if they say, no, that doesn't, that's totally fine. Go be like, well, what do you think the real reason is? And they'll tell you, and you can adjust your knowledge gaps and go back to your diagram. But let's say they go, that does make complete sense. I never thought about it that way. Boom. 25% of the sale is there. You have made somebody problem aware. Now we hit them with the CTA. We go, all right, like we don't even change and say, hey, you know, would you like to get on a call, a free consultation? Like you literally, it's like, no, you made them problem aware. So now you go, okay, cool. Well, look, let's do this. And this is what we say in the script, and I'll pull the script up in a second, where we say, you know, do you have time for a call possibly, you know, later today? And let's say they're like, yeah, no, I do. I have time later today. You're like, all right, awesome. You say, look, let's do 2 p.m. And they're like, all right. And then you're like, so just before then, so let's say, actually, let's put our call to 2:30 because I want to send you something that you can check out just before our call. All right. Now, who can tell me why we send them something beforehand, why we do the homework? This is where I'm going to see who's been watching the modules.
Micro commitment.
Micro commitment, yes, but also
more detailed.
More likely to show up to the call.
Yeah, more likely to show up to the call.
That's part of it.
Also, because if you don't send them the homework, they get on the call, right? It's like this. So what's the offer? Oh, well, basically what I offer is this, this, and this, and I do this, and blah, blah, and how much is it? Oh, it's $5,000. Sorry, not interested. Okay. It's like, you know what I mean? It's like, no. So you send the homework prior, right? Well, actually, yeah. So you send the homework prior. I mean, there's a few ways to do this. So what I would maybe do, it depends on how cold the lead is. I might actually not send the homework until after I've had the 15-minute call, right? So I might actually just be like, hey, let's get on a call. And for that 15-minute call, I might triage them. And that's where I actually kind of gravitate on, whether this is a problem they want to get solved right away, right? And maybe we could do some more triage stuff in the sales calls tomorrow, Ray, because I think that's what a lot of people are struggling with. But so I might go like problem solution. Hey, do you want to get on a call? And if they're like, yeah, let's do a call, I will just get on a call as soon as possible. So I won't push it out. I'll be like, I'll just make sure that call's today. Then on that 15 minutes, if I know that they are qualified, that's probably when I would send them the homework.
I agree.
Because what that does is if you don't send the homework prior, and this is where I see a lot of people mess up, and this is what I really messed up, and why we created this. I mean, other people do it like this way as well. It's just the smart way to do it. But you send them the homework prior, because then when you get into the call, you get rid of this whole thing of like, where's the proof? What's this? Who have you worked with? Because you sent them something before, right? So as soon as you get on a call, you stick to the agenda. And even if they didn't watch the thing, it's like, all right, well, look, we'll go back to that. I did send you everything, but let's just dive into the solutions here and how I would do this, right? That's how you want to do it. I want to go into some objection handling with that in terms of micro commitments as well. Because some people I see, I've looked at your messages and it's like you don't get real objections, you get brush offs. Mm-hmm. So I want to go into a little bit of that too. But
the three things that homework really does in between the 15 and the 60-minute call is you can get them partially pre-framed. You can get them pre-framed while building authority, right? Then you can tell them a little about your process and what you do so they can come into the call educated with questions for yourself or the advisor, or whoever you're putting them in touch with. And third, you can take away part of the explanatory part of the sales call by doing so in a homework or a, or whatever kind of video you're sending them. To go through between the calls. And that really makes things easier on either yourself or once you have sales reps, if you can like skip over part of the explanatory stuff, if it was already done in a video, the stuff that would be relevant to all the clients, you know what I mean? Of course, you're still going to have, custom questions and custom things when you get on the sales call, but there's certain pieces of information that are really good for, all of your prospects before a call. And it just helps the sales process go even smoother. Yeah,
100%. And, I think a lot of people ask me, they're like, and we do have, is there like, okay, what, how do I do the homework? Lorenzo, we can do it like at the very, very, I'll make sure we have 10 minutes to spare and I'll go over it. But so let's say the homework, for an example, you don't have to record like 50 videos before you start talking to people. So as you're starting to talk to people, this is the best way to do the homework, right? So let's say, just ignore my message.
Yeah, we do get asked that occasionally.
Yeah, so let's say
second nature, and it's easy, but I get it that not everyone.
I just did my knowledge gap with Adam. I've got my things here, and I'm just talking to people, right? I'm like Kevin. I'm just going at it. And then they're like, yeah, I'd like to do a call, and then I'm on that call with them. And then I'm like, all right, cool. So I'm booking them in for another call, which is going to be like the 40-minute call where I close them. I don't have any homework, nothing recorded. I say, look, I want to make sure, okay, this is what I say. I want to make sure that this call we have, I answer as many questions as possible. So for that reason, before the call, I want to send you something that can, really kind of show you how this works and things like that. Based on what we said, what would really help you? I'll record a Loom today. What would really help you out the most? And they will just tell you. You know what I mean? Like they'll literally just tell you, and then you will just record a Loom and you'll send it to them. It might be a scenario test. It might be whatever you have. Okay. And then that piece of content, you're going to use that for every single knowledge gap that you get, that's the same. Okay. So that's why I get you guys to test it out, because you just build up all these different homeworks that you have attached to different knowledge gaps. Then when you give it to a VA, they can just do the same thing, and they can just say, oh yeah, well, here's a loom of a client that had a very similar problem, and here's how we fixed it. And they send that, and then that's how you close the call. Does that make sense?
Yeah. And then in addition, as you start to work with more and more clients, they're going to tell you, what other problems they've had, what was difficult about your program. They're going to help you refine more things that you can make for future clients, as you're working together. Hey, man, your program's great, but if you just did this, I think it would give us even more results. And people will help you, A, refine your program, and B, kind of give you, before you even have to figure it out, what you should create for content to use for homework.
Yeah. And Kevin, you definitely get access to the Word doc. It's all in the Teachable, but I'll post it in the Slack just so you don't have to go looking. But yeah, so that's how you have all your stuff. So if basically like you build it as you go, you don't build it and then start going, because it's just going to be a waste of time. You start talking to people, and as you're doing that, you start recording the content, you figure out what works, and then you should have this. So before you start bringing in VAs, before you start bringing in anybody, you should have this mapped out already. You should have the problem, knowledge gap, angst, CTA, and then the link for the homework for your appointment setters. Okay. You do this, and it's going to be very, very hard for your appointment setter to mess this up. Now, one thing I want to cover is micro objections. All right. So let's say you're talking to them and you're like, hey, okay, cool. So they've accepted the frame. And then you're like, all right, are you able to do a call later on? And they're like, no, I'm good. And it's like, all right, so what we want to do here is this is your first kind of micro objection. And the crazy thing about this is feedback. You know what I mean? This is still data. This is still something you can use. A lot of people just do that and they're like, all right, thanks for your time, and just leave it. Like, this is something where if you could just get that crucial objection, you have content for ads that you can use with the Swiss Army knife for the next month, right? So you go, okay, you have to combat these objections. So this is what I want. And I want everybody to kind of do this. And let me paste this so everybody can follow along. You want to have what's called a ledge. And the ledge is basically, this is probably more so when you're in person, because, you're not going to just react when you're on Messenger. But let's say this is a ledge is just something that you use to basically get a perspective of the situation. So like a ledge is, so let's say for someone was like, no, thanks, I don't want to do a call. Someone's like, oh, what? So you don't want to invest in your future? Like, you don't want to do this? Like, your mindset's terrible. Like, you don't want to do that. You want to be like, that makes total sense. I totally understand. Okay. That's your ledge, right? You want your appointment setters to have a ledge, just a pre-written thing that they can just send, or just something where it's like, acknowledge that they feel that way. But then you want to explain the value and then re-ask the question. Okay. So there's different ways to explain the value. There's emotional value. Okay. So this is moving forward, next steps, clarity, peace of mind, progress. So it's like emotional value. Like, well, this call is going to help you get the peace of mind you need to move forward. There's insight value. There's new systems, trends, resources, something new that's coming. There's tangible value. Well, why don't we do this? Literally, I'll just send you something now, and then we can actually just record the call that you and I have. We can transcribe it later, and then you have an FAQ that you can use forever. Like, just doing that will push it forward. So these are the 3 types of value that you can focus on. So what you do is you explain the value, and then you ask again, right? So I'm like, hey, okay, well, I signed the frame, and I'm like, well, you're free for a call maybe later today. We can just hop on a quick 10-minute call, and I can just, explain a little bit more about how this works and about how to solve this problem. No, I'm all good. Oh, okay. I totally understand. Look, I get it. You've probably been on a few of these calls before. Look, let me just explain what we're going to be doing on this call. You see, and then what I'll do is I'll figure out either is it going to be emotional value, insight value, or tangible value. So I usually go tangible value. Look, I get like on these calls, you just get on and it's kind of just like them agitating the pain and trying to sell you something. What we'll do is you just tell me, we'll get on this call. You tell me exactly what you're struggling with. I'll send you a video detailing how to fix it. And then we can go to another call, which is just a Q&A. And you can just ask me whatever you want. And we even record it. You can keep it, and it will be worth more than, you know, the next course you're thinking of buying. Okay, no, that makes sense. See, like, basically you explain the value and then ask again. All right. And then if they're like, no, I really just don't want to, well, cool, you've got an objection. Ask them why. All right. So I see a lot of this. Like I'm reviewing so many of your messages, and a lot of people be like, hey, do you want to do a call? And they're like, no, thanks. It's like, all right, cool, thanks.
Yeah.
That it's like you're not getting real data there. It's like it's like, if we're talking in terms of like Facebook terms, that's like a messy pixel kind of thing. So I want to get real data. So who has questions about that? Because I mean, there should be a lot more questions here. Everybody's been asking about this. So I want to make sure everybody understands this.
The other thing you kind of did in there without really mentioning it too, if you get that objection or somebody's like, no, and then you're like, yeah, I get it. You've probably been on, you know, a handful of calls with other people. And like Adam said, it's either salesy or they're not really there to deliver you value. Well, you kind of differentiate yourself from those other people too, and how you're going to deliver value to them. A lot of people aren't doing that. So Adam did it without really even pointing that out. But I always like to kind of, you know, if that becomes an objection, differentiate myself from the competition and the other people they've been on, and why can I deliver them value, and why do I want to?
Yeah, 100%. So let's say that you've done this a few times, and now, so you've gone, this is the progression. You've gone from doing this yourself to now you have a setter who's doing this for you, and now you're like, I would like to run paid ads. So what do you do? Like, what paid ads do you run? Well, you look at the free things that you've sent, right, to the people, and now you want to turn that into an ad. Okay, so, and it's going to be exactly the same. So let's say, for an example, I know, and this is literally like, I know that the sales process of micro commitments, I know this is a knowledge gap that a lot of people resonate with. And when I send them that little video of me doing like XYZ, I know that really worked. So this little thing here, I'll turn that into an ad and maybe an SLO or a product that I can sell on the front end. And then when people buy it, my appointment setter will already have like a script ready to roll on this. So this is how you figure out your content as well. Your knowledge gaps, once you get this sorted, let's say you speak to a few people and you've got like 2 pieces of content that you know hit, cool, go post it in a group and do the same thing. So I guess the biggest takeaway is, once you have this mapped out, and we've done this with each of you, no one should not have their knowledge gap analysis mapped out. Go out and test it. Then you use the flow and actually like record the content real time. Just ask them what they need, and then store that content so you have it. So now you can systemize it and just gift it to a VA, because all they have to do is come in and, you know, how I would do this first is, let's say any group that you post in, they just follow up, and pretty much anyone that's engaged, they run them through this sequence. Like, hey, you want the free thing? Yeah. Okay, cool. Oh, there's a ton of stuff I can send you. Like, let me ask you, what's your offer right now? Blah, blah, blah. Go through, and they just assign this, and then they send the content, book them in. So it's incredibly scalable to do it this way. And it's a system. It's like anybody can come in and do this. So that's why I really want you guys to have this fleshed out and tested, because then when you bring a VA in, they can easily start closing deals for you. Well, not closing deal. I would say booking, and then you still want to close the deal. I would not get a VA to handle the calls because that wouldn't make sense. Each of you, we have hopefully increased your offer to at least $3,000 to $5,000, which means you're able to get a commission-based sales guy in once you're ready. So who has questions regarding this? Because I want to make sure everybody gets this. Because we're going to build this out, and then we can get you guys VAs, because we have VAs ready, but they're not magicians. You know what I mean? They can't build your knowledge gaps for you because they don't know your offer as well as you do.
I would hope not.
Kevin, how do we get a VA to understand this? Oh, sorry, Ray. Let me just answer this and I'll let you take over. So it's really simple. You just go, basically what you'll do is, once you've tested all this out, you'll have a sheet that looks a little bit like this, right? So you'll just have what's called, so you'll have just a little table. And I'll send you a copy of this. So you have frame, real problem, knowledge gap, angst, resource, just like so. Okay. then you'll just be like, okay, so basically what you'll do is anybody that comments on any of my posts, you just send them, the first thing you send them is just the opener. It's the same each time. And it's just like, hey, did you get a answer to this? Or, hey, are you still wanting the free thing? And they're like, yeah, they send that. And the person replies. Then it's like, all right, cool. Then what I want you to do is it's the next generic thing you say is, okay, well, look, we have a ton of stuff I can send you. Would you say you're in kind of the starting or scaling stage? Let's say starting over 10K months, under 10K a month, scaling over 10K a month. And they're like, oh, I'll definitely be starting out. Okay, cool. So what's your offer right now? Is it at least over $3,000? Because it's probably some stuff we consider to be an offer as well. And they're like, no, I'm only charging like $500. And it's like, oh, okay. And then you have a script for your VA to like, you want to get, and I'll show you, how to find these VAs that actually, like there is no magic VA, right? There is no magic VA that you pay $100 that just books appointments like crazy, but there is training systems and there is understand the framework so that they can start adjusting it themselves and have their own kind of switch to it, right? So they can be like, oh, okay, well, usually you should be charging over 3K. Oh, really? Yeah. Look, can I weigh on this for a sec? Sure. Okay, we'll see. The biggest problem people have is, sounds like they blah, blah, blah. What we usually do to solve this is blah, blah, blah. Where most people go wrong is this. Does that make sense? Yeah, no, that makes complete sense. I never thought about it that way. Okay, well, look, what we should do is let's just do this. Do you have time later today? Like, let's say like 2 p.m., an hour from now? I just got to run another meeting. Yeah, that's totally fine. All right, cool. I'll just call you and if it's all right, I'm just going to add in my business partner, Kevin. I'm just going to add him in the conversation and he'll just do a call with you. Is that okay? Yeah, sure. Okay, cool. Boom. And they just take it from there. Like that's how you would do it with a VA.
Yeah, it's basically going through that system. And as you test this more and more, the other thing you want to keep track of is like, go back to the Miro board real quick with the knowledge gaps. Yeah. So as you're going through this chain, right, you're going to realize which prospects you're getting in conversations more and which one of these knowledge gaps you're utilizing more and which one's having the biggest effect. Which one is really like when you tell someone, they're like, oh, shoot, no one's ever told me that before. That would work great. And they want to find out more. So you're going to see really two things that you want to keep track of, which knowledge gap is having the most impact and which qualifying questions on this kind of, on this chain of, on this web, if you will, are you using most? Are you finding that you're finding more start or more scale businesses? And then is it more their offer problem or is it more their lead gen problem? And you'll start to see a trend of which ones are more prevalent and which ones are actually booking you more calls.
And the crazy thing is, and this really like will blow your mind, is once you test this out, you will find the knowledge gap, the exact problem that is the most expensive.
Yep.
Right? You identify the hidden problem that no business really knew about that you can actually charge 5K to solve, that no other consultant is doing. Right? So that's how powerful this is, because this is how you build your offers. This is how you're able to scale a coaching consulting business, is by doing this knowledge gap analysis, testing this out of real conversations, seeing how far you can actually take this to up to actually collecting a credit card over the phone. Let's say, for an example, like you closed a client by assigning this knowledge gap. You're like, that's what I need. And you're like, all right, well, people behind this problem, right, are people that are willing to pay $5,000 to solve it. So it makes complete sense for me to create a VSL or to create a self-liquidating offer all around this and run ads to it. It's going to be way worth it, right? This is how like you reverse engineer products. Alex Becker has a really good analogy where like a lot of people think it's like the ads that don't work. But it's like the Facebook ad auction, like YouTube ads, Facebook ads, whatever ads, is like a dog fight. And so many people, their offer is like a poodle. And it's like, it's just going to, like every time it's just going to get beaten, right? So you have to like reverse engineer this like bulldog of an offer. And that's where your knowledge gaps come in. So like this is a bulldog of an offer. I could run this as an SLO, and I have with Auto Organic. I could run this as an SLO, break even on the front end, get that customer for free, and outbid my competitor because I reverse engineered something for my front end of my business that is going to allow me to get the customer that has the right sophistication level, where my team's going to have like a 30 to 35% close rate, right? So this is why it's so important. Is it's about fleshing out every single problem, identifying which one actually like gets people through the door, identifying what brings sales, what brings people to close on a certain amount, and then reverse engineering that for your ads. So that's why this is so crucial to do, and you can't skip this step.
No, and it also helps you utilize your messaging and content going forward can be much more based around this pain point now that you know that that's the one that is closing deals and it's the biggest gap for the marketplace. It's also kind of reiterating to you what you should be creating, automated assets or homework assignments about, probably stuff, in relation to this topic, because this is the one that's really been a big pain point that you've noticed through your 100 conversations, 50 conversations, whatever it is.
Mm-hmm. So, I mean, this is like literally like it. This is what we've done. Anyone that has had success doing this has done exactly this. So, I guess my question would be, what is anything else is holding you guys back from doing this and like getting, I don't know, like a 5K deal closed this week?
Yeah, good question. I'd like to hear that too. Nothing. That's the right answer, Christian. Nothing's holding you back.
I mean, this isn't some mindset thing. I actually just want to know because I'm going to be, we're trying to like achieve a certain success rate that no other program is really achieving. And I mean, as you guys know, I mean, I'll because I want to make sure I get Lorenzo's thing, but as you guys know, we're starting to really I want to make this pool a lot smaller. And we'll discuss kind of how we're doing that a little bit more. But there is no reason why no one should be not closing deals up to this point, because like the only reason I can possibly think of is if your like Facebook profile's banned, just create a new one. If you have both of them banned, then go to LinkedIn. If your LinkedIn gets banned, then I'll create you a new LinkedIn. If you can't do LinkedIn or Facebook, then do cold email. If your cold email gets banned, your domain's blacklisted, get another domain. There's no
I guess to ask Adam's question even more directly and break it down, why would you guys be hesitant to not be testing this, starting conversations and getting this foundational stuff? Because I know a few people that I've spoke to, they're just like, oh, I've only done organic for like a day or two. I've maybe been in 5 or 10 conversations. Like, that's not enough to validate this, to get the data you need to create assets and then ultimately be able to outsource this or delegate it to a VA. So I guess in simplest terms, like, why would we be hesitant to get out there and start conversations?
One really interesting thing is when you have this system, when you have a system like this, when you do knowledge gaps and you have it mapped out and you have it systemized like this, when you do cold outreach, because usually when you do cold outreach, you're doing messaging and DMs and stuff like that. Like, I don't know, everyone talks smack about it in their ads, like without doing this, and this. And it's like, when you don't have this system, you're doing that purely just to get by. But when you have this system, you're doing that knowing in the back of your head that you're building $100,000 a month business by mapping out all the assets that you could possibly need to bring somebody else on. So it's a huge motivator to just get out there and just start having just doing conversations.
And it's so foundational in the business and how you're going to grow it. It is the foundation.
Yeah. All right. So I want to make sure everybody gets this. Is it no one has any other questions about implementation, about how to do it?
You're just that good of a teacher, buddy.
All right.
I could kind of throw some info
in
regards to how I started taking action on this, because I was a little stuck at first.
Great.
But what I did was I literally took the like eco scripts and kind of rewrote some pieces and did a video kind of explaining to myself, like, this is what happens here. Then I actually did a conversation in Messenger and I was like breaking down pretty much like each step of that. And that got me to really internalize like each single step of the process. But in the beginning, I was just kind of a little hesitant, a little scared maybe. And so that's how I broke through that, is just documenting it for myself.
So you had to kind of fully understand it before you felt comfortable doing it.
Right.
Yeah. That makes sense.
Some people are like that. I just go with the flow and kind of go out and test it and optimize. But that makes sense to me as well.
Yeah. I mean, if another good way, if like you want to, if you're super scared to start messaging people, just do a how hero. Like, there's infinite How Heroes. Obviously you'll get to a point where like it will get really boring doing it. You only have to do it a few times though to understand and get a flow, and then you can be like, all right, I can message somebody cold now because I know that they're dealing with this problem they didn't even realize about. So if I hit them with a knowledge gap, I'm going to have like a good chance of them replying, and then you can start like figuring out how you'd work that way. So that's like the training wheels for it.
Oh,
And if you guys really believe in your product and your service, the more people you talk to, the more people you can help. Where people go wrong in the beginning and they get a little hesitant to like messaging is, oh, I'm going to be bothering and hindering people. No, you're going to be impacting and helping people. If you're looking at it from that perspective, as opposed to I'm a hindrance and I'm just annoying people. I mean, if you have that mindset, you're just in the wrong business. You know what I mean? You have to get your message out there. And I would like to think we all want to help as many people as possible. So if you're not starting conversations, how is that going to happen?
How do you open up these conversations if you're not doing the How Hero method?
Honestly, so either one, you're choosing a knowledge gap and you're using the authority sequence to post in a group. Two, if you don't want to do inbound, you literally just go and find a pain point or a congregation point, or go into a group and just find like clients that you know would suit the profile you could work with, friend them, wait for them to accept, send hey, and then if they reply, you do the knowledge gap opener, which is
Yeah, go over that again. Some people aren't sure about the openers.
yeah, so the opener is just this. So identify something meaningful, display the knowledge gap, call to action. So basically you identify something meaningful in their profile that has to do with your offer. Like maybe they did a post about closing sales, or maybe they did this. So like, if they're your ideal client, they will have something on their profile about it. If they don't, they're probably not your ideal client. Display the knowledge gap, and then kind of like a call to action for them to answer back. Right. So, and this isn't BS, by the way. This is literally how I connected with David Deutsch, the copywriter from Agora. I said, hey, John, really cool post you did on profit-driven copywriting to identify money prospects you're speaking to. We do a similar thing. However, we use VA research teams to identify pain points first and then test each one to see what brings the highest ROAS. And then I send. How do you run an in-house creative team at the moment? Send. And then whatever they reply back, I'll easily be able to transition that into my knowledge gaps.
Totally. And you might want to test a couple openers to see which ones are getting replies. You might not get it. You might not nail it on your first one, but you'll know when you have a good one because you'll see your response rate just skyrocket.
With the openers, like in terms of the opener to start the conversation, don't overthink that. Like just say, hey, nice to connect, or what's up? Like you don't have to be
relatable.
You don't have to pitch it. It's a lot of people like, I don't know. Like voice messages are good, but like don't be like the guy that it's like you're the only one to ever send a voice message. Like I get so many people spam me. It's like, hey, I want to send you a voice message because like, a robot couldn't do that. And it's like, well, robot could do that. But yeah, that's how you open it up. Now I was talking to, I think it was James. I was talking to James and he was like, I don't know how to really find these people. I'm still not sure. Or like he's shy to open up a conversation. So what do you do then? My advice is go to your knowledge gaps. So let's say for me, I was starting out, I have absolutely nothing. I would be like, all right, let's say this is one of the knowledge gaps here. And I'm talking about micro commitments, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go out, I'm going to create a group around this knowledge gap. So I'm going to call it micro commitments of Adam. And it's basically like, hey guys, here's a new sales process where we talk about micro commitments and how to basically measure your sales, right? Then what I'm going to do is I'll just basically see anybody that would fit into that group and add them into that group. The knowledge gap will do the selling for me because they'll be like, oh, micro commitments. So like I'll make a post in that group, I'll make a video. So I'm like cornerstone content. Just be like, hey, this group is literally about how to identify micro commitments. What are micro commitments? This is something we discovered when blah, 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 blah. And then I can just start mass inviting people. This is the only time I would say it's okay to just friend someone then invite them into your group because the knowledge gap's so good that they'll accept. And then when they accept, you can message them and you can say, hey, thanks for accepting. I want to make sure I send you a good piece of content. And then you can easily start the conversation that way. I'm going to go more into growing a group in that process as well. it's just a way to do it. You know what I mean? Because you want to have your knowledge gaps identified to build the group off that. You don't want to just go like insert name, 7-figure, insert name. Like literally, if I go to here, 7-figure. Like it's crazy. So I mean, like you know, people are getting invited 7-figure groups all the time. So you create a group based off your knowledge gaps. So if I go back to my knowledge gaps, I'll be like, let's say one of my knowledge gaps is offer creation. I think who was it? I think it was Khaled. He's not in here right now. In our knowledge gaps. Oh, cool. In our knowledge gaps, we identified that one of the ways he helps people is creating a ROI for a non-tangible offer. So like a life coach or something that doesn't actually have a tangible ROI in terms of financial, he helps them figure out how to create a tangible ROI. He created a group around that. And from what I've seen, it's killing it. So many people are like joining, and he's just going to generate conversations off the back of that anyway.
He's already doing that, and then he's launching a challenge based off of that. He's found a lot of people that are asking certain questions, so he's created a challenge based off some of their struggles.
Yeah, that's exactly how you go. Then if you get that group to 250 people, literally post in that group like, hey, everyone's been asking this, like, what do you guys want to see next? And whatever people want to see next, be like, all right, cool, let's do a masterclass, do a live masterclass, record it, and then turn that into SLO. And then you have ample social proof and a launch straight from there.
Totally.
All right.
Kevin, I'm naming mine 7-figure offer creation.
I'm not against that.
I would stay away from the 7-figure thing.
I just think the 7-figure thing is so, I don't know.
I thought it was Kevin. I thought it was.
All right.
Yes, just give insane value. That's exactly right, Patrick, with no expectation of return. But when they see you're giving out more value, then they're going to be like, oh, this guy helped me overcome this problem on his free masterclass or whatever. Imagine what would happen if I paid to work with him.
Yeah, exactly. All right. I'm going to assume everybody's got this.
Why I joined you guys. See, we preach what we do.
Yeah. But I know, Lorenzo, you wanted to quickly, is it all right if we just quickly do a 15-minute go over ads? So Lorenzo, I made sure you looped in with Paul as well, just because, like, you know, for our sessions, we've been doing a lot of stuff in knowledge gap. So I just want to make sure you have been connected with him as well, for the ad stuff.
Yeah, I don't think, let's just check one more time. Does anyone have any questions on any of that stuff before we go on to something different?
Yeah, I got a question, you guys. How are you?
Fire.
Hey, man.
So it's a little specific to me, but hopefully I'll make this short so it doesn't take up much time. I've been talking to a lot of people regarding, I'm doing like a little bit of a challenge. I got this idea from somebody where your creative ad against my creative ad. Mm-hmm. And I've been posting that in groups. I've gotten decent feedback. Maybe I have 8 or 9 new clients like looking to do it. And it's an SLO, right? It's like $47. And then I just go ahead and create it. My question for you, Adam, is I'm having a hard time, and maybe it's my messaging and my communication. People seem to think, and this is my feeling, and obviously I'm not in people's heads. They seem to think that creating an ad isn't a big deal. Like the creative in a Facebook ad, forget YouTube. In a Facebook ad, it's like, yeah, I'll put an image here, throw an image, maybe a headline, and we're good to go. And my thinking, and has always been, and I think you would agree, is obviously your audience and your creative are the 2 most important things. Mm-hmm. I'm not sure if that's not stressed in the world of internet marketing or not, but how do I highlight that and make it so that when I speak to somebody, they're like, yeah, this guy, his reasoning makes sense. It's right. The ad is basically the most important thing of a campaign. I don't feel like I'm reaching people. I'm hitting people. It's a pain point. Maybe I'm not hitting it the right way. What do you recommend I do so that that message comes across stronger from my side? Does that make sense?
Yeah, so that's your angst scenario. So basically, let's say one of your knowledge gaps is that you can help them decrease CPMs by having a well-structured video that is going to allow them to reduce the ad cost. So the angst portion of that is basically if they run a crappy video, not only are they getting a bad audience, but their CPMs are rising, they're spending more on ads, their cost per acquisition skyrockets, and they can't scale. So it's like looking at the ripple effect and using that to be able to assign your like angst scenarios. Because you need to think like, what's the worst thing that can happen, and how can you create the cost doing nothing for that? Because so many people are going to be like, oh yeah, well, you know, it's all about the audience, stuff like that. So I would look at like your knowledge gap analysis. Like say for an example, because I remember we were first talking about YouTube, but let's say for an example, we're looking at ad account bans, and you could say that, you know, a reason a lot of ad accounts get banned is because like their videos, there's no quality assurance. They don't actually get a video company to do it. I mean, that'd be tough to say, but like things like that in terms of like creating costs of doing nothing. If you have those angst scenarios for each one, then you can get it to stick.
Okay. Okay. I think I got you. All right.
And then one quick
Appreciate
sentence you could say back to people with that at least will make them aware and have them open up their minds. So you don't think the creative's that important, huh? Well, how many ads have you clicked on and purchased from that had crappy creative? Let them sit there and answer that.
Yeah.
I think one thing that you're selling as well, Jamie, you know, it's not just the creative, but it's the ideation machine. You know, it is especially if you're using some stuff in like PDOCS, it is the ability to be able to not just do creative, but identify angles, turn into ads, validate it, and scale it. Like that's a very, very, very in-demand thing. So I would position your services more as building the machine for these people rather than just giving them a single video.
That's huge. I totally agree. And I could not agree more. I'm doing actually I'm working with Ray on a project together, and we're doing exactly that. I'm doing exactly that for him. I was on a Zoom call.
Nice.
But is there any way, and this is a big ask, how do you simplify that? Because I'm trying to put that message across. I've had a couple conversations, and I think I've really effed up that kind of messaging in the sense of this is what we do. We test. It seems like it's either I'm convoluting the message and it's not getting through, or I don't have the right way to express it. And I don't know if you have a simple way or one. Yeah. I doubt it, but like a one page or something that really simplify it.
So the pitch. So you want the pitch. So this is how we would close companies. We'd be like, all right, so to win in paid ads, there's 3 ways to do it. The first way is you can spend more. Okay. So you can spend more than your competitor. Like spending more than your competitor. So it's like you can like just outbid them. You know what I mean? Like if you know your lifetime value and you know those numbers, then just spend double than them, because you know you'll reach a point where you'll buy a customer, and you just win every time. Now, if you can't do that, you don't know your numbers. Then option number 2 is to spend more on production and creative. So you need to spend more on having like Harmon Brother like videos. You need to hire a production company. You need to spend like 20K on ads, not including ad spend, and that's the only way to win. Now, the third way is you can have better ideas and you can test more. This way is inexpensive, it is scalable, and it's going to allow you to beat the other 2. And we have proof of doing that. So which way would you want to do? And then they're like, oh, well, the third way. And you're like, all right, well, let's do it. Like, I'm not even joking. That's how we would explain it.
No, that's easy.
Dude, that is gold. I need that. I need this recording badly, Ray. That is gold.
Yeah.
The recording will be posted just like yesterday's is posted today.
Oh my
I'll have
God,
it up.
that was
I don't
amazing.
slack on my recordings.
All right. Thank you. Thanks, Adam. That's exactly what I needed. Appreciate it.
But yeah, that's how we do it.
We got you, buddy.
It's an ideation machine. I would probably, if you guys are doing the LinkedIn MVPs, your MVPs are going to be agencies that are dealing, you know, that are doing the media buying, but they need a fulfillment partner to be able to do all the creative. That is a huge thing, dude. And I know because like some of our like other stuff, like, you know, some other partners like Ecom Vids and stuff, that was a huge problem we were solving. So that's like, there's a lot of money to go around with that problem. So if you're doing something with Ray and you guys have that video process mapped out, I know he's very process heavy. That's going to be huge. So I would find as many MVPs as you can and get all their clients for that. And then pitch that idea of the ideation machine. And particularly if you're using like, so, I mean, it's okay if we go a little bit over. We have a JV coming out with a very well-known virtual assistant firm, purely just on AI copywriting VAs that understand Jarvis. So that's going to be something cool we're going to be releasing soon as well. So I'll make sure you have access to that, Jamie, because that's going to help you with your process.
appreciate it. Thank you, Adam. Thank you.
Yeah, and the value with that, like almost endless ideation or always be creating that too is huge, because when you talk to a lot of these people, they're probably struggling to come up with ideas for creative, for ads, for messaging. So if you can solve that problem for them as well and show them how they can, create new ideas, new angles, and basically always have like an arsenal of ads or topics to attack. That's a big thing. That's also solving an additional problem for them. But Adam explained it with about the best analogy you can. The 3 ways, which one would you want to do? And unless you're Russell Brunson or something that can just spend more to acquire a customer, most people are going to go with number 3.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's like a no-brainer. You know what I mean? Because a lot of people don't know their numbers like that. Like they don't know their lifetime value. They don't know, like HubSpot, for an example, they'll spend $250 for a customer and I think they won't make money back for like 2 years or something like that. But like they know those metrics. So they don't really care. They'll just go out and spend. But yeah. All right. Can you give Tamara screen sharing access, Ray?
I think anybody should have it. I have multiple participants can share. Checked. Can you share, Tamara?
Yes, it's perfect.
Yeah, I thought so.
Thank you. So here's our famous ad.
Our famous.
Ad set. Right. So we launched them last night after we had the call with Paul. Mm-hmm. And obviously I set the budget and everything, but it seems like we don't have clicks. We have a lot of impressions, but we don't have clicks, like 4 in total, and no web purchase or visits.
I mean, hey, let me take over.
Sure.
Trying to move it across. Yeah, so I mean, here's the thing, right? So you've only spent like small amounts on each of these ads. So like it's not going to, so like if you look at the campaign, I mean, this is like you can get rid of some of these audiences if you want to just make sure you don't spend a lot. But you see here, it's like, okay, so you spent $66, but that's on the campaign, right? And you go in and you're like, oh man, I'm getting link clicks and I've spent $22. But you see that's per audience. And then you have per ad. So you actually like, it looks like you spent $60, but really you've only spent like $10 on an ad, which is like your impressions. You want your impressions to be at least at like, I would say per ad, I would say anywhere from like 1,000 or so impressions, right? So there's not enough data to really make a decision on it yet, which sucks, but it's just like how Facebook ads are. So what I would suggest is to limit the spending. I mean, you could look at basically, you could, so say books, for an example, you're not getting any clicks there. If you want to just like kind of like limit spend more, you could just turn this one off. But honestly, you're going to need to wait at least a day or two to build data on this, because it's like you're only on each ad, you're only on like very limited impressions. You know what I mean? So Facebook doesn't really know what's working yet. That's why if you're not wanting to spend a lot, just limit the amount of audiences you test. Keep the same amount of angles for each ad, but just limit the audiences. So for an example, if you're like, well, I don't want to spend a lot, I would just look at this and be like, okay, so customized columns, the click-through rate is about 1% at the moment, 90 clicks by series. Hey, so if that's the case, I mean, I would look at this in a couple of hours and like when you guys wake up, and I'd look at what has the lowest click-through rate and then just turn that audience off. Just slowly start tapering it down, because then you're going to just push this, you're going to, minimize spend. But, the actual ads themselves, there's not enough data on any of these just yet. Like you should be at, I mean, the rule is they say you should spend so technically speaking, and this isn't what you'd want to do because you'd just be wasting money. But if you were like a big media buying firm and you're an agency, what they would say is you need to spend about the same amount of your purchase before you know if it's going to be a winner or not. So you'd want to spend at least $40 on each of these before you could say they're a winner. I wouldn't say to do that though, because that's just, what we want to do is it as cheap as possible. But I would just say wait till tomorrow, whatever the lowest click-through rate is, turn that audience off, let it run, and then you should start seeing some like upstream metrics. And then if that's not working, 9 out of 10 times is going to be some of the ads that aren't resonating. So you got to swap out the angle, swap out the ads. Yeah. So see how it looks tomorrow. And I know this sounds like such a boilerplate answer, like, oh, you just got to test more. But honestly, like you've only got 169 impressions on that. Like that's nowhere near enough data. Even this, your biggest ad is only 500 impressions. There's nowhere near enough data to even determine what's going to work. See what I mean?
Yeah. So this should be at least 1,000 impressions per ad, at least. And
I would say, yeah, at least 500 to 1,000 impressions per ad. You don't necessarily have to do that because it's not like, you don't want to just like waste spend. But I can see here, if I'd wait a day and then I could see, let's say for an example, here, I'd be like, okay, so where's my click-through rate? Here we go. So link clicks, if I know, hang on, I want to see. Yeah, so it's a little bit earlier. I mean, if I was going to say anything, that's a very low link click-through rate, right? That's very low. So that could be down to the creative. So the angle and the creative just might not be hitting enough. So you'd want to aim for something that's a lot higher. Like this click-through rate seems good, right? Like 1% seems good, but that's the whole ad in general. So if you have a button, if your ad is long, that's just people clicking on the see more, right? To see the more of the ad. This is people clicking on the actual link to go to the sales page. So sorry, click-through rate here. So less than 0.11%. That's very, very low. So I would say 9 out of 10 times this is the ad, right? So what I would do is I'd think, okay, because one thing about this is a lot of these ads are the same type of, like they do look quite similar. So maybe try something completely different for each of these angles. So what I mean by this is, it's pretty funny. The only way I think is just to let it, like I think this is a fairly, very good ad. Let's just let it run just for an extra day. And then if click-through rate is still really low, what we'll do is we'll have to swap out some of the images because that's going to be a creative problem. Because the overall click-through rate, like clicks here, like that doesn't mean they're clicking to the sales page. That just means they might just be clicking see more, which shows some kind of interest. Or so creative or copy. If the click-through rate is really low, that's actually going to be a copy issue. But rather than like splitting hairs, I would just say you want to just do a whole new angle. If you think that angle is hitting, then you can swap out the creative. But I would say like you just want to swap out new angle, new creative, and just have something a little bit different.
Got it. Okay, so we let it run for one more day, then eliminate maybe an audience that it's not getting any clicks, and eventually if that doesn't increases the click-through rate, which percentage are we looking for at least?
You're looking for link click-through rate.
Yeah, which percentage?
I mean, like, it should be at least 1%.
1%, yeah.
Yeah. Like this is very low, but it's still very like you've only had a few impressions. So,
Can I just chime in for a second?
Yeah, sure.
One of the things that's going on with Facebook ads is if more than 20% of the image is text, then it will, before they would just not take your ad, they would give an error and they just wouldn't give it to you. But now that they've kind of let that go a little bit, it's seen as more of a low priority ad. So maybe kind of altering the amount of space the text takes up on the image could help a little bit.
I didn't even know that.
This could be worth it. I mean, I definitely have use some ads that's just pure text, but I think it was just so like shoot from the hip that it just worked because people just saw it and they were just like, oh my gosh, yeah. So that could be something there.
Was it an image?
No, he's saying just text.
Oh yeah, no. I mean like on
was
the
just
image
text.
itself. Like 20% of the actual image being text.
Yeah, no, this is I mean, I know they got rid of the 20% rule because everyone was just cowboying with it, and you saw like, you know, like Sam Oven's ad is literally just like, I'm a consultant, I do this, this, and this. Click here if you'd like it. Like that's the ad. Yeah, I think like a lot of these creatives, it's not really different. So what you want to do is you have 4 different angles with 4 different kind of creatives, right? So based on whatever your workhorse ad is, look at just kind of adjusting a little bit so you can have different creatives. Because I think this is going to be a creative issue more than anything. I think the angle's pretty spot on, but if we see that there's still like low click-through rate by tomorrow, it's going to be a creative swap out for sure.
All right.
That makes
So
sense.
a more next action step to that would actually just be, let's say you look at what has the, you know, what has the highest click-through rate so far, or let's just say we'd look at the audience, would see like where the click-through rate is, and then you just go to like unsplash.com. So just like unsplash. And then just look through and just look at, just type in keywords surrounded around, you know, the problem or the angle. So what you were talking about here is starting a Facebook group and you have a duck that's like looking down. So maybe just like type in, you know, struggle, hate or something like that. And just look for whatever captures your attention. And then like, that's how simple it is. But all right, well, let's use that creative and just put that in.
Got it.
Hey, Adam, do you have a call with Chase and Josh today?
Mm-hmm.
They messaged something in our group chat just saying let go, and I told them we're on a call with clients. So I'm not sure what time you had that scheduled for, but I think Chase thinks it's now. Just a heads up.
Okay, no worries. All right, we'll probably wrap up there then, because we're just over an hour and a bit. However, tomorrow, let me know. Check in tomorrow because I don't want you to just like run ads willy nilly. But you do need to get more data. It's just the perils of Facebook ads.
No, you're definitely right about that.
Yeah, that's fine as long as we know what we're looking for and eliminate what's not working and improve it.
Yeah, so you can optimize.
Yeah, exactly. And there's a lot of optimization, but like your cost per impressions is pretty good. I think it's going to be a creative issue. So check back with him tomorrow, and then I can even help you find some ads, like find some new creatives.
Awesome. And yeah, guys, Jamie in particular that asked, but everybody, I'll have this either uploaded tonight or tomorrow at the latest into the replay section of the Facebook group for the call section. Yesterday's is already uploaded in there, but I'll have this one up there ASAP for you guys.
Sweet. Legend, guys. All right. We spat a lot of gold out in this session, so make sure you watch that and implement the stuff with the knowledge gaps.
Definitely need to implement.
100%. All right, guys. I'll speak to you soon. Sales sessions tomorrow. Make sure you guys go over triage calls tomorrow.
I got you.
I'm hearing your triage call, and it's not what we told you. All right. I'll see you guys soon.
All right. Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.